Welcome to this explainer. Okay, imagine for a second a vast, completely dark cosmic universe where millions of souls are just wandering around as pure light. Sounds peaceful, right? Then, down here on Earth, a newborn takes its very first breath. It's this beautiful, everyday miracle. But what if I told you that the exact moment a human is born, they aren't actually the only thing coming into existence? There's this fascinating script and story called Du Shaktian, which roughly translates to the two powers, and it explores the hidden, completely invisible reality of our choices.
So, what exactly is born with us? Well, according to this story, while all those souls are wandering as pure energy, the literal second a child is born, two distinct, incredibly powerful forces instantly emerge alongside them. And we're not talking about external ghosts or spirits hovering around. These are forces born entirely within the human. One force exists for one reason only: to elevate the human spirit, pulling it toward light and grace. The other force? It's born with the exact opposite purpose. It just wants to push that human down into the absolute darkest depths of their own potential.
Okay, let's dive into this and look at the avatars of these two forces. First up, we have Divyadev. Picture this: divine, angelic being radiating a bright white and golden aura. Divyadev's entire mission is to guide us toward truth, compassion, and basically our shared humanity. Then, on the flip side, we have Kaalnetra. This is a demonic entity, depicted as swirling black smoke and fierce red fire. And here's the thing: Kaalnetra's goal isn't just to make us quote-unquote bad, it's way more insidious than that. Kaalnetra wants to weaponize our own weaknesses. It takes our fears and insecurities and uses them as a tool for exploitation. To really wrap our heads around how these forces work, we're going to follow one specific character. Let's call him Arav. We'll follow him chronologically through his life. We're going to check in on him at age 8, jump to 16, then peak at his peak adulthood at 30, and finally, we'll see his final truth at age 80. By walking through these stages, we get to see firsthand how our internal karma doesn't just happen overnight. It compounds, choice by choice, over an entire lifetime. Part 1. The small choices of life. Let's get right into it. As we step into Arav's early years, we quickly realize that this epic battle between Divyadev and Kaalnetra doesn't start with some grand world-altering event. Nope, it starts small. Really small. Picture 8-year-old Arav walking to school. He's got his backpack, he's rushing so he's not late, when suddenly an old man trips and falls right in front of him on the road. Boom. Instantly, those two internal powers wake up. Kaalnetra whispers, urging him to just ignore the guy, saying, "Hey, you're going to be late, just keep walking." But Divyadev speaks up too, gently reminding him that stopping to help is what true humanity is all about. Arav pauses, and he chooses to help the man up. And in that invisible realm, something incredible happens. Divyadev's golden aura glows brighter, and the smoky form of Kaalnetra actually shrinks. Which brings us to the absolute core mechanic of this whole concept. Every small deed strengthens one power. It introduces this beautiful yet kind of terrifying metaphor of an internal scale of karma. There's no neutral ground here. Every tiny, seemingly insignificant action you take on a random Tuesday morning is secretly adding weight to one side of your internal scale. You are quite literally constantly feeding one of the wolves. Moving on to part 2, the darkness of ego.
All right, so let's fast forward a bit to Arav's adolescence. Life gets complicated, right? The moral tests stop being as simple as helping someone cross the streets. The stakes get higher, and those whispers from Kaalnetra, they get a whole lot more convincing. Arav is 16 now, sitting in a super high-pressure school exam. His friends lean over whispering, "Just peek at the answers, just this once, no one's looking." Kaalnetra jumps right on this, telling Arav that to win, you gotta take the shortcut. Divyadev pleads with him, warning that the wrong path might be easier right now, but it steals your true destination. Arav hesitates, but the pressure wins. He cheats. And just like that, the dork fire of Kaalnetra expands, growing dominant, while Divyadev's golden light just flickers and fades into the background.
So the crucial point is captured perfectly right here. Evil doesn't always start with a great sin. Sometimes it starts with a small compromise. We always tend to think of a moral downfall as this massive, dramatic failure, right? But the reality is that morality usually erodes through tiny, everyday concessions. It's the just this once that slowly but surely tips the scale away from the light.
Fast forward again to peak adulthood. Arav is 30, and externally, The guy has made it. He's incredibly successful, he's got the money, the huge house, the luxury car, but all that wealth has bred some serious arrogance. One day, a desperate employee comes to Arav begging for medical advance to help his sick mother in the hospital. Divyadev chimes in, reminding Arav that he didn't reach the top all by himself. People helped him along the way. But Arav completely ignores the light. He listens 100% to Kaalnetra, who coldly insists that weak people are just a burden. In this massive fit of cruel arrogance, Arav doesn't just deny the money. He actually fires the employee on the spot.
I mean, this is a devastating turning point. This act of cruelty, driven entirely by his own ego, makes Kaalnetra absolutely massive. The demon of smoke and fire now completely overshadows Arav. It pushes the divine presence of Divyadev so far into the background, it's barely even there. Like the quote says, ego is the poison that slowly blinds a human. Arav might have everything on the outside, but inside, his scale is totally broken.
Part 3. The Scale of Karma. You know, life has a funny way of forcing us to look at the scales we've built. One stormy night, driving his fancy car, Arav loses control. There's a horrific crash. Everything just goes black. But he doesn't wake up in a hospital. He wakes up in this strange, mysterious, dark void. He's standing face to face with both Divyadev and Kaalnetra. He asks them who they are, and they tell him they've always been with him, that his own actions built them. Suddenly, a giant cosmic scale appears. On one side, his good deeds with Divyadev's light. On the other, his bad deeds with the heavy darkness of Kaalnetra. And to Arav's absolute horror, the scale is heavily, violently tipped toward the demon. This moment of reckoning in the void is the ultimate realization of our whole explainer today. Every human writes their own destiny, with their karma. Arav realizes in that instant that there's no one else to blame for the heavy darkness on his scale. He didn't just inherit Kaalnetra. He actively fed him, choice by choice, compromise by compromise, until the dark completely outweighed the light. Part 4. Transformation and Ultimate Truth. But wait, the story doesn't end in the void. Arav suddenly gasps for air and wakes up in a brightly lit hospital room. He actually survived the crash. He's been granted the rarest gift imaginable, a second chance. And he doesn't waste a single second of it. And this brilliantly illustrates that rebuilding good karma isn't just about feeling regret. It takes deliberate physical action. He starts small again. He helps poor children. He literally goes out and feeds the hungry. He reconnects and spends quality time with his mother. And, probably the hardest step of all, he tracks down that employee he fired and begs for forgiveness. With every single humble act, Divyadev's golden light surges back, and that suffocating smoke of Kaalnetra finally starts to shrink. Now, as Kaalnetra feels his grip slipping, he gets defensive. The demon snarls, claiming humans are inherently dark and can't ever really change their nature. But Divyadev shuts him down with this undeniable truth. As long as there is breath, there is a choice. It is literally never too late to start tipping the scale back toward the light. Every single morning you wake up is an opportunity to feed the right power. So we finally reach the very end of our timeline. Arav is an 80-year-old man now, lying peacefully on his deathbed. But if we look at that unseen internal reality, the room is completely bathed in a warm, radiant golden light. Divyadev is standing there immensely powerful. And Kaalnetra? Just fading wisps of smoke. Kaalnetra whispers one last time that the darkness in humanity will always return. But Divyadev simply replies that with every birth, hope is born anew. Arav smiles, and his soul peacefully merges into the light. It's this beautiful culmination of a life redeemed. The ultimate takeaway from Du Shaktiyan is simple, but man, is it profound. Karma makes destiny. We've all got a demon and a deity inside of us. That's just part of the human experience. But neither of them is in control of the steering wheel. Our destiny, the way our life ends and the legacy we leave, is defined entirely by the entity we choose to feed the most through our everyday, microscopic actions. So, I want to leave you with this final thought as we wrap up today's explainer. Think about the choices you've made just since you woke up this morning. Think about the interactions you're going to have for the rest of the day. Take a hard look at your own internal scale. Which power are you strengthening today? Are you feeding the light, or are you feeding the smoke? The choice, as always, is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep learning.